Spending money on your hair is a waste. Just cut it off. My mother-in-law aggressively trims my hair because I couldn't endure her constant harassment. I returned to my parents' house, and then I received news from my husband that she had an accident and was paralyzed from the waist down. He blamed me for the accident and insisted I take care of her. Despite her actions, I refused my husband's demand and proposed a divorce. My name is Reese, 32 years old, and I lived with my husband Stephen. After quitting my full-time job upon marriage, I started working part-time. Stephen often returned late from business dinners, leaving all the housework to me. Balancing house chores and a part-time job was tough, but I did it for Stephen. One day, a call came on Stephen's cell phone, and the news of his father's passing left him breathless. We hurried to the hospital, where my mother-in-law seemed devastated. Stephen, concerned for her well-being, suggested we move in together to prevent her from getting depressed. Feeling obligated as a daughter-in-law, I agreed. This decision, however, threw my life into chaos. The morning after moving in, I found my mother-in-law already awake, yelling at me for not waking up earlier. She insisted that, as the daughter-in-law, I should be up by 6 o'clock a.m., mopping and preparing breakfast. She often made comments insinuating that my life was easy since I didn't have kids. She eagerly awaited a grandchild, and her disappointment that we hadn't had one yet fueled her harassment. Despite our belief that we would eventually have children, she thought I was infertile and started calling me a worthless daughter-in-law. Her harassment extended beyond mornings, reaching me when I returned home in the evenings. I had to simultaneously prepare dinner, clean the bathroom, and do the laundry. She acted as if she were a queen, even though she never helped with chores. Constantly following me around, she complained about my inefficiency. Juggling part-time work and household chores was challenging, but her constant snide remarks pushed me to my mental limits. One night, after Stephen returned from a business dinner, I tried talking to him. I wish my mother-in-law would contribute a bit around the house. I can't handle everything, especially while working part-time. The notion that housework is solely a wife's responsibility is outdated. My mom used to do it back in the day, but now I have my part-time job, and that's enough for me. I'm going to bed. He completely brushed me off. My mother-in-law's harassment intensified day by day. One morning after breakfast, when I returned to my room, I found her rummaging through my closet, holding my underwear. I confronted her, asking her not to invade my privacy like that. Instead, she criticized my choice of plain-colored underwear, claiming it made me unappealing. She even suggested telling our neighbors that Stephen might not be interested in me because of my old-fashioned underwear. The pressure to provide a grandchild grew, and I had no choice but to silently endure her over-the-top commands. Initially, I thought my mother-in-law's strictness about household chores stemmed from her upbringing, but it became clear that she just enjoyed bothering me for fun. When I went shopping, neighbors would gossip about me, and my mother-in-law would watch, laughing happily. On a day off when Stephen didn't have any golf appointments, I tried discussing the issue with him again. I expressed my desire for my mother-in-law to stop bad-mouthing me and spreading nasty rumors. However, he responded coldly, blaming me for the gossip and insisting I focus on the housework. His abrupt change in behavior left me speechless. He was kind when we got married, but living together seemed to have altered him. I stood there shocked, emotionally and physically drained. Then something unthinkable happened that day. While my mother-in-law was out for lunch with local friends, she returned with a scowl and expressed her frustration. The luncheon was awful, with everyone boasting about their grandchildren. They even suggested that we might not be having grandchildren because we live together. I couldn't believe her outburst. I wasn't pregnant, but we got married later in life. It's not uncommon for someone my age. She must have felt excluded from the grandchild boasting conversations and seemed frustrated. Always desiring attention, she appeared concerned about fertility treatments. We haven't pursued fertility treatments yet, I explained. We haven't been married for that long, and I believe there's no need to rush. Besides, these treatments require both time and money. Despite my reassurance, she remained unconvinced and agitated in her chair. Money became the focal point of her discontent. Money is a problem, she remarked, eyeing my expensive shampoo. You spend quite a bit on that fancy shampoo for your hair. If you can afford that, why not invest in fertility treatments and give me a grandchild already? Isn't that a daughter-in-law's duty? Defending my spending choices, I asserted, how I spend my money is my business. I've always taken pride in my long, straight blonde hair. I earned the money to buy my shampoo and conditioner, and I don't see an issue. Suddenly, she wore a sinister smile and seized a fistful of my hair, pulling it forcefully. It would be better if this expensive hair of yours just disappeared, she remarked callously. Despite my protest, she produced scissors and began cutting my hair. The shock and cruelty left me devastated. My beautiful hair lay scattered around me, unevenly cut as short as a man's. In pain, I cried out, "Stop! Please, not my hair!" Ignoring my pleas, she continued, "You're so noisy, I'll cut it real short." Before I could comprehend, my once cherished hair was gone. The sheer cruelty of the act left me at my breaking point. Hoping that my efforts would improve our relationship, I endured for a while. But that day, the shock of her actions overwhelmed me. I left a message for Stephen, informing him that I was going back to my parents' place for a while, and I headed home after leaving my in-laws' house. Stephen tried to reach out to me several times, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. Ignoring his calls, I found myself on the third day back home when Stephen unexpectedly called in the daytime. Reluctantly answering, I was met with his agitated voice. "How long are you planning to stay at your parents'? Get back here now!" "Lower your voice. I don't plan on coming back for a while," I replied. "What are you saying? Just come back. Mom had an accident." "An accident?" Concerned, I decided to head to the hospital immediately. Upon reaching the mentioned room, I saw my mother-in-law lying down with a respirator on. "All your fault. You just leave and go back home, not taking care of our house. Because of you, Mom got hit by a car." "How is her accident related to me? Because I didn't cook, I went out to shop and she got hit. If you were doing your share, this wouldn't have happened." The twisted logic made no sense, but seeing my mother-in-law in that state, I couldn't respond. She had undergone major surgery with many IVs attached. Then a doctor entered to explain her injuries. "Your mother has severe damage from her waist down. She might be paralyzed. If there's nerve damage, a full recovery will be challenging." "No way!" Stephen, overwhelmed by shock, held his head in disbelief. When my mother-in-law woke up, she was indeed paralyzed from the waist down, just as the doctor had said. Seeing her condition, Stephen exploded at me once more. "This is all your fault. You take care of everything. If you don't care for Mom, let's divorce. A part-time worker like you won't earn much and can't live on your own." "I can't afford to divorce because I'm not financially independent." Mother-in-law looked down on me with a smug smile that resembled her own. "Fine, let's get a divorce, huh? Are you serious?" "Yes, my income has decreased since I started working, but I have savings. I can get by for a while. If I work hard and find another job, it will be okay. Even if I run into financial difficulties, I'd rather be poor than live with you." Stephen's face turned red at my words. "You think you're so smart. You'll regret this." Unfazed, I pulled out the divorce papers from my bag. "I'm glad I brought these, hoping you'd agree to sign them. Please sign them quickly." Ignoring Stephen's words, I immediately headed to the courthouse to file the papers. I was genuinely anxious, but with Stephen, it felt like there was no turning back. He didn't even acknowledge the drastic change in my hair length, something I had cherished. Considering how much I valued my hair, it seemed odd that he didn't find it noteworthy that I had suddenly cut it. Maybe he didn't care about me at all. Perhaps he only saw me as a housemate. I no longer wanted to be with someone like that. Dad helped me move, and my parents warmly welcomed me back home, offering financial support as much as they could. However, with Dad retired, I couldn't solely rely on their financial assistance. While working part-time, I began job hunting with my certified public accountant qualification. A small local company hired me, and although the income wasn't very high, it was enough to sustain me. During this period of starting my new life, Bella unexpectedly showed up at my childhood home. Through the door, I could hear her shouting, "I'm sorry, please come back to me." Didn't she refuse that before? It had been challenging since Mom was discharged from the hospital. I reluctantly listened to Bella's story. After the hospital, Mom couldn't walk anymore and became wheelchair-bound. We admitted her to a facility, but she exhibited verbal abuse towards other residents and even hit the caregivers. The facility couldn't keep someone violent, so they asked her to leave. There was no space in nearby facilities, making it impossible to work and take care of Mom. Although it sounded rough, I couldn't care less. I hoped Bella would leave soon to avoid disturbing the neighbors. "Why not give it another shot? I'll work like before and you handle the housework and Mom. That would make things easier, right? It must be tough with your current income. Are you still working part-time?" Thankfully, I found a full-time job, but Stephen assumed it didn't pay well. I've been working for over 11 years now. I've been promoted and my salary isn't bad. I can still support you like before. Living together will be better for you too, right? Stephen's words left me flabbergasted. Did he seriously think caring for his ex-mother-in-law was easier than working? I'd rather work overtime every day than live like that. Don't assume I'm struggling. I have no complaints about my current life and no plans to care for anyone. Please, even if you don't want to remarry, just show up for Mom. She always talks about you. Bella's voice was getting louder, probably from excitement. He was so stubborn that he'd probably stay until I agreed to go to his house. If this continued, there would be rumors in the neighborhood. Reluctantly, I decided to go to my former in-laws' house. "Keep your voice down, you're causing a scene. I'm so glad. I yearned for you," and Bella seemed to believe I had effortlessly let everything go. Happily, he grabbed my hand and led me to his car. It had been a while since I last visited Bella's house. As Bella opened the entrance door, a loud shout greeted us. "I'm home! Where were you?" The irritating voice of the ex-mother-in-law weighed heavily on me. I never wanted to come here again. Entering the living room, I was taken aback. Grocery bags were scattered everywhere, filled with empty containers, plastic bottles, and used adult diapers strewn across the floor. "What have you been doing? Take me to the bathroom now. Hey, where's the caregiver? Didn't you hire one for today? We don't need someone so useless, absolutely no delicacy, and completely incompetent. That's the 5th caregiver. Enough is enough. Quiet, my body can't move freely. Help me out already." The ex-mother-in-law, now in a wheelchair, had become even more unbearable over time. With care facilities turning her down and caregivers not lasting, Stephen was at his wit's end. When she noticed me, she hurled a nearby water bottle in my direction. "You! How dare you show your face? All this happened because of you. Take responsibility, stupid daughter-in-law." She tried to hit me in her agitated state, but toppled over from her wheelchair. Since her legs wouldn't move, though she tried to get up, her paralysis held her down. Only her face turned towards me. No matter how angrily she glared, I wasn't intimidated. "I'm not your daughter-in-law anymore." "Hey, don't talk to Reese like that. Reese, I'm embarrassed, but I can't even handle daily life anymore. Please, let's make things right." "Absolutely not. Manage your job and caregiving. I used to handle all the housework and my job. Remember, you never helped." "I know I messed up. I'm truly sorry. It wasn't just about making you do the housework. I shouldn't have sided with Mom against you. An apology now is too late. Too late. I won't remarry him just to care for her. I can't even think of remarrying. No way. I'll pay you just for the housework. I have a job now. I don't plan on becoming a housekeeper." Stephen apologized deeply. Watching him apologize sincerely to this still incapacitated ex-mother-in-law was surreal. "You've been heartless ever since I started listening. Don't you feel sorry for me?" The ex-mother-in-law clearly didn't understand her weakened position. She glared like a monster. "That's unfortunate. With that attitude, you'll end up alone. Shut up. Stop acting so superior." Mom apologized to Reese. "Reese left because of you. I did nothing wrong. I recently assisted my less capable daughter-in-law in improving her household skills. Perhaps you should give it a try. I can't deal with this companion. Oh, there are others in similar situations living independently without using their conditions as excuses." Her words from that day about not using work as an excuse echoed in my mind. How could she say that to an injured person? The audacity. She hit the floor in frustration. Isn't it a son's responsibility to care for his parents? Good luck with my words. Bella's face turned pale, ignoring both Bella and the ex-mother-in-law. I left the house. No matter how much they pleaded, I wouldn't live with them, especially not with such a woman. And so, they both faced the consequences of treating people so carelessly. Stephen, exhausted from caregiving, started making mistakes at work and was fired. Despite trying to find another job, his drained appearance didn't help. He now apparently manages by working a part-time cleaning job. The ex-mother-in-law, a bedridden source of abuse, is now hospitalized. Still, she's known for her abusive language and actions towards the nursing staff, becoming a nuisance. Her release from the hospital might be soon. Well, it's none of my concern. I heard about all this from a former coworker. Having settled into my job with a steady income, I started living alone. Then I met someone special, a colleague from my current job who approached me, complimenting my beautiful hair. I still vividly remember when he first said that to me. After my ex-mother-in-law cut my hair, I went to the salon and ended up with a very short hairstyle. But now it's grown past my shoulders. We've been dating for several months now, and both my work and personal life have never been better. My current boyfriend is a great cook, and he doesn't mind doing household chores at all. He's so different from Stephen, who never helped out around the house. Looking back, I wish I had divorced sooner. I was held back by financial worries, but once I took the leap, things fell into place. In fact, without the burden of housework and the snide commands from my ex-mother-in-law, I found more physical and mental energy. Not only am I doing well in my job, but I've also started a side business and my income is increasing. In my previous marriage, I spent so much time for the sake of the household. Now I'm determined to cherish the time for myself.